So the question for today is, so I got a new wig today and it's not quite right. The color is good, but the style just doesn't work right for me. Should I send it back? So this is the golden question. And I'm telling you, when I first got wigs and I ordered them, I'd get them in the mail and panic and be upset. And I sent many back. Now knowing what I know, there's so many wigs that you can actually work with and make them work for you that don't need to be sent back. And there's wigs I wish I wouldn't have sent back because I know now how to make them work. So that's what we're going to talk about today is when you get a wig and you have that panicky feeling like this. I put this wig on my head and I was like, this is not my style. Some people love volume. I do not. So this right away, it came sort of parted down the middle and it was just kind of crazy. And I thought, okay, well, the color's beautiful. The cap fits nice. I like having a shorter option, but this is crazy. So the old me, when I first started wearing wigs, would have sent this right back and said, oh, it doesn't work. But me now, after trial and error, knows I can make this wig work. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is what are the things that you can adjust? This is Belle Tress Winston, it's called, and it's in the Luxe SE collection. So for me, because I have a 23-inch circumference, getting a wig cap to fit my head is really, really important, and having it be comfortable. So right off the bat, this is comfortable. So that should be really, really critical because you need to wear this for hours and hours on end. So cap comfort, number one. Number two, the color. Because on a synthetic wig, you can't change the color. And so for me, this color is beautiful. It's called Jamocha Almond Fudge Rooted. So it has a little bit of that darker root, which blends well with my hair. And I like the warmer color. So for me, this color was great. Length, if it's too short, of course, you can't do anything about it. If it's too long, I never worry about it. I've been able to find some stylists near me that are willing to trim off some length. And so if it's too long, I don't worry about it because I know I can get it layered, I can get it cut. If it's too short, that's something that you can't change, right? So if it has cap comfort, it has color, and it has enough length for you, and if it's heat-friendly synthetic fiber, that means you can adjust the style, I can work with it. So a wig like this, I wanted a shorter style to be able to wear when I'm traveling and I'm in airplanes and so that it doesn't get all tangled up. So I wanted a short style. I love the color. The cap feels amazing. It's just a lot of volume. I never wear volume in my hair. I've never had enough hair to wear volume. So this is a lot. Now, if you love volume, maybe this kind of really loose, pretty volume, maybe this will be for you. When it first came, it was parted down the center. And so it was doing this sort of arch thing. And I thought, oh my God, I can't do this. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make this wig work. And I'm not going to promise that it will be totally fixed on day one because normally it's a process. I'll get a wig to the point that I can wear it and then it's a series of tweaks. But we're going to make a big improvement today. So the big improvement for me is going to be changing the part, changing the volume so it's a little sleeker, and maybe adjusting some of the curl. There's also quite a few dark knots on this. I don't know if you can see them. So there is a lighter color right up at the front here, but behind it, the knots are quite noticeable. So I'm going to do a little bit to cover those up as well. Okay, so that's the plan for today. I'm going to do my best to show you what I'm doing. So let's just pop this off. Okay, and again, it's Winston Heat-Friendly Synthetic in Jamocha Almond Fudge R. So I love having a mannequin head with a tripod. It just makes it a lot easier for styling. I have not been one to style the wig on my head. It usually makes it a lot easier if it's on a stand for me. You can also get the kind that you clamp onto a table or a counter, and a lot of people like that as well. So Okay, so I know first off the bat I need to change the part. So a lot of brand new wigs will come with a zigzag part, so it just looks like crisscrossed all the way down. And what you want to do is you just want to take some sort of, you can use any kind of pointed comb, like a chopstick would work, anything that's pointy, or if you have a rat tail comb that has this pointy end, that's perfect. And I would draw the line about where you would want your part. One of the keys is not to make the part too perfect, because that's often a giveaway of a wig. It's good that if it has a bit of a zigzag or it looks a little bit irregular, it usually makes it look a little more natural. So what I would do is I would draw the line where I want it. Great. And then I would often take, I don't know if you can see this, okay? You see how it's a bit irregular? And you can play with that a little bit. If you want to flip a little bit of hair to one side, grab a little bit and flip it from one side to the other. So do you see? It's not perfectly straight, and that's where I would start. I have a hot comb. I just got it off Amazon. It's not fancy. I don't know that you need a fancy one. The only thing I don't love with this one is the cord is quite short, so it makes it a little limiting where I can use it. And because sometimes I style my hair on a mannequin head in the living room, it's nice to have a longer cord. So just something to think about when you're buying them. Now I'll use a little bit of water. I have one of these just light water mister. And I'll take my hot comb and I'll push the hair back. Now you can hear it sizzling, which I know from if you're used to doing your human hair with curling irons and flat irons, you don't want it to hear it sizzling because it usually means you're wrecking your hair. But sizzling is not a bad thing on a heat-friendly wig. It's just doing a bit of steaming. So watch your fingers. If you hot iron, if your hot comb is really hot, just be careful if you're grabbing the hair. I put this setting on 285 degrees and I'm combing it backwards and then holding it to cool. Sometimes I'll use the back of the hot comb and sort of press down at the roots. I try not to put it right on the lace because I don't want to melt the synthetic material. So let's see, we're going to just press down. Now another thing I'll do is I'm going to part the hair and hold it back. Let me see if I can find a clip here. So all I've done is I've taken a chunk of hair and parted it and put it straight back. So now I'm going to grab this next chunk of hair here and I'm going to do the same thing because there's a lot of heaviness and it's all going up and forward. Okay, now some of these curls were just a little bit too bouncy for me. I wanted it a little more relaxed. So what I would do is spray some water on them to relax the curls. I'll usually brush it out as well. I don't want it to be knotty when I'm using my flat iron. So I'll grab it one chunk at a time, working my way back, and I'm just using my flat iron. Now I twist and roll the barrel down. And again, don't panic when you hear the sizzling. That's just the way it is. And now I'm pulling down on the curls because I want them to be just a little bit more like a beach wave instead of like a big bouncy curl. And however they cool is how they're going to stay. So I like that a little bit better. So let's just do another chunk. Can you see those curls? So they're just a bit of a looser wave, and I like that style of curl better. Maybe that's a better way to say it. It's not that I don't want it curly, I just like a different style of curl than the way the wig came. So now I'm going to grab these front pieces that I clipped up and we're going to curl those as well. So I grab them one chunk at a time, and they're still damp, so they're fine. Again, do not panic when you hear the sizzling. The sizzling is good. And I just want that gentle wave. Sometimes I pull the end of the curl down because I just, again, want it to be a little bit more loose. If it starts to dry out, just add a little bit more water. So if you can see, sorry, this is a bit more of a sort of a smoother curl, and I'm still getting quite a bit of bump up here, so I'm going to have to smooth that down. But overall, I'm liking the way it's coming together already. So let's see here. Now I'm going to clip this down just so it cools like this while I work on the other side. Now if it's easier for you, you can clip sections of the hair up and do it in layers. Typically I'll do at least one layer. So I'll take a bobby pin or a clip and just clip a chunk of the hair to the top. And then I'll work on the bottom layer, and then I'll work my way up. Okay. So I've already wet this. I'm going to start doing my curls, and I'm always curling away from the face. So I've got the bulk of this curled. I never did the underside of the neck because I was just lazy. I just basically did both front sides and then the top layer in the back. So I can see this one really wants to have volume. So if you like volume, I think Winston might be a keeper for you. If you don't, it's going to take a little bit of work. So one last thing we're going to work on is the part line and some of the dark knots that you can see. The tricky thing with dark colors is they show the knots more, unless you have a human hair wig. And on a human hair wig, you can get the knots bleached and it makes them less obvious. But if you're wearing a synthetic wig and you like dark colors, or like me, you need a dark root to blend into your hair, they're going to show. And some wigs are better than others. Some have larger knots, some have smaller knots, but this one is not terrible, but I still would do some covering up, especially right near the root, like right along this hairline. There's a nice light color and then it goes straight into a dark color and you can kind of see through it and you can see those knots. So a few things I'm going to do. I'm going to take just some scar. It's called silicone lace melting tape. This one's called Bye Bye Lace Grid, and it's called scar tape, and you can get it in rolls very cheap off Amazon. And I'm going to cut a piece and we're going to put that underneath the part line, and that's going to help it look a little bit more like scalp. And then we're going to use some makeup and we're going to cover those knots a bit. So to put the scar tape on, you can carefully take your wig off the mannequin and do it in your lap, as I do a lot of things, but you can also just flip it inside out, put it back on the mannequin inside out, and do your best to see the part then, and you'll put it on. So when I'm cutting scar tape, I'll often just measure it from the darkest edge up to this circular ridge here, and do your best to rough cut that piece. So you're gonna have a piece about this long, and then I take one side and I round it. And that piece is gonna go towards the front. So it's gonna look something like this. Okay, so it adheres pretty good. Mine will stay on there no problem until I take it off when I wash the wig. So we're gonna take this and you're gonna try to shoot for this edge being right where the dark knots are. You don't want it to go any further into the lighter hair or the lace, otherwise it's gonna be noticeable. So I'm gonna just line it up with that edge and just press it on. Now before I even put it on my head, I'm gonna put it back on the mannequin the correct way. I'll pin back this hair. Okay, now I have a few options for scalp coverage. What you want to do is it needs to match your own skin color. So you want it close to your skin color or a little bit lighter, because typically our scalp doesn't get as much sun as the rest of our body. And so I've got this Rimmel Stay Matte, what is it? It's powder. And so I've got that one, which is a little bit lighter, a little bit more translucent. You just use a bit of an angled brush, you can see, dab it in there, and then we're going to apply that to some of these knots along the part. So let's see. Now when you have the tape underneath, you can feel the makeup sticks to it. So it really helps it stay a little bit longer, or yeah, it lasts a little longer. And all that's doing is just making the knots look less obvious. It's a small step, but if the knots bother you, it does help. So I'm gonna do that right to the front. Some people have talked about using L'Oreal True Match color because they have a lot of color shades. So depending on the color of your skin, hopefully you can find one that is, again, your shade or your tone. So if your undertone is, my undertone is a bit more yellow, you want to try to find one to match your skin tone. So I'll use a bit of that powder. I do have this, I think it's Essence brand. It's a palette, like a nude palette. And you can see I've used it a lot. And there's one color on there that's got a bit of that yellow undertone, and it has a little more pigment than than this one. So sometimes I go in and just dab that off and add a little bit of that color. It's a little bit closer to my skin tone. Now you want to go all the way back. So you actually want, your hairline naturally will go quite far back, and usually there's a bit of a swirl or some sort of a scalp showing back here. So don't be afraid to have the part go quite far back, as that will look natural. And again, I'm going to improve this over time. This is my first kick at it. And as I wear the wig and as I get used to it, and if things bother me, I'm going to tweak them. And again, this one's pretty unruly, so it might need a little more work to tone down the volume. But another thing that I do sometimes is, if you can see the knots through this light color here, I'll grab this light color and pull it down, and there's a lot of dark knots right along this edge. So I'll do the exact same method. I'll take a bit of that powder and I'll just apply it along that edge. That also makes a big difference. Yeah, and I don't need to go all the way back. I'm just basically going just a little bit into that ledge. And I'm going to do the other side. If you want, you can pull down that blonde hair and reveal the darker knots. Okay, so let's see how far we've come. I don't expect a perfect job yet, but I do think it's probably close to wearable at this point. So let's check it out. So I don't have my wig grip on, but let's just give it a test. Okay, so we're getting better. We are getting better. I should take my tag off here. For me, this is still too poofy here, so I'd have to work on this. And yes, I know you probably shouldn't use this on your head, but I do. Just to smooth that out. Okay, now, for me, this is closer to what I would like and closer to what I would wear. Just a little bit of a flippy bob, just much less volume, a little more natural looking. It's actually a nice density. Like I can tuck my hair behind my ears, and it's just a cute sort of throw in and go wig. But you can see for me, it just works a lot better, right? We have a much more subtle look, way less volume, and closer to my style. So before you panic, I'm not saying don't send your wig back. I'm just saying it might be a good idea to give it some time, right? I heard someone on one of the Facebook groups say, I put my wig in a timeout and I came back to it later. And sometimes I think that's the best thing to do, is put it down, come back to it later, give it a try. I know when you, the challenge is when you have to return a wig, you can't do all these modifications to see if you can make it work. But really think hard about the comfort, the color, and the length. If it's sufficient length, it's comfortable, the color matches, you know, really think about whether you can make it work. Because I find a lot of wigs, I can make them work, and sometimes maybe the wig is best for a ponytail wig, or it's best to wear up. So I would say don't give up on it right away. Think about your options, take some time, set it aside if you can, if you have time before you return it. I just find that a lot of times you have to do a lot of research and be really careful. And when you get a wig and you're so excited about getting a wig, and then you're so disappointed because it comes and it's poofy or it's not sitting against your head correctly. And I would just say, just think about it, give it a chance, and don't panic and send it back. I had one wig that was a beautiful hand-tied cap. It was a Raquel Welch wig. It was called Statement Style. And it was fully hand-tied. It fit my head beautifully. The color was beautiful, but the lace didn't quite sit flat on my head. If I tightened it, it buckled a little bit. It was a tiny little buckle, and everything else was perfect. And I panicked and I sent it back. But I know myself now, I would have used a tiny, tiny bit of this Got2b gel, and I would have just glued that little piece down, and it would have been the perfect wig for me. So give it a chance. See what modifications you can do to make it your own, and try not to panic when you first get it. I know it can be overwhelming. So I hope that helps. If you have any other tips, please feel free to leave them in the comments so we can help each other. Love to know what you thought about this, and we'll catch you in the next video.